listening to Give God 90, where we're not afraid of the tough biblical questions, because we will dig through the language, the culture, and the history to find the truth revealed in the words of our Creator.
Happy Monday, everyone. It does seem to be kind of an important Monday this year, as the news is filled with nothing more, and I mean the news around the world is filled with nothing more than the American election tomorrow. It's amazing. Seems like the whole world is kind of at a standstill until we get there. So here we are. Although it's okay. I am being closely monitored and supervised this morning.
Yes, you are. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
And I think the biggest reason I'll be glad when this election's over is just so we don't stop seeing all the campaign ads. I'm kind of tired of it. I'm over it. And I think a lot of other people are as well. If you like what you hear, those share buttons work really well. The like buttons we appreciate. It just helps people find us easier, just like you did. If you haven't been to GiveGod90.com or AuthorJerryMitchell.com, you might want to check those out. There's some interesting reviews at AuthorJerryMitchell.com. I did find an article the other day, and quite honestly, it's going to have some evolutionists wringing their hands, bending over backwards to twist this into something other than what it is. It was written by Hannah Ritchie from the BBC News of Sydney, Australia. And it begins, given an infinite amount of time, a monkey pressing keys on a typewriter would eventually write the complete works of William Shakespeare. It's called the Infinite Monkey Theorem, okay? The article continues, the thought experiment has long been used to explain the principles of probability and randomness. However, a new peer-reviewed study led by Sydney-based researchers Stephen Woodcock and Jay Falletta has found that the time it would take for a monkey typing to replicate Shakespeare's plays, sonnets, and poems would be longer than the lifespan of the universe. Think about that. Evolutionary theory says given enough time, anything is possible. Let me continue with the article. The results indicate that if every chimp in the world was enlisted and able to type at a pace of 1 key per second until the end of the universe, they wouldn't even come close to typing out Shakespeare's works. There would be a 5% chance that a single chimp would successfully type the word bananas. That's in the chimp's lifetime. The probability of one chimp constructing a random sentence such as, I chimp, therefore I am, comes in at 10 million billion billion, the research indicates. Okay, now what this means is that no matter how much time you are given, there's no way for evolution to be an effective way to form the universe as we know it. That's as simple as it gets. I have to say I love it when secular evolutionary scientists, they tear down the foundation of their own theories. It's great. It really is, because that's what this does. Given enough time, anything is possible. But according to these two researchers, no, it's not. And I think it's great. I love it. They're shooting themselves in the foot and then trying to walk. It doesn't work. If they said every monkey in the world, or every chimpanzee in the world, now there's over 200,000 chimpanzees in the world, typing at 1 letter per second, they'd never even write the word banana. Think about that. That's a tremendous amount of information being processed. And they can't even type accidentally a single word. And yet, somebody's going to attempt to tell us that it was random chance that we're here. Good luck with that. I can't wait to see what the folks from the Creation Research Institute and Answers in Genesis do with this one. This is going to be fun. Oh my. What I want to look at today, it might seem like I'm talking about the election, but I'm not. I'm really not. It's something far more important. And I'm going to use an example from the movie The Matrix. Of course, that movie starred Keanu Reeves, who plays Neo, and Lawrence Fishburne, who plays Morpheus. And Neo is taken to Morpheus, who offers Neo a choice between 2 pills, the blue pill and the red pill. If he takes the blue pill, he wakes up as if nothing had happened. But if he takes the red pill, he believes he will learn the truth from Morpheus. Now, in the movie, he takes the red pill so he can learn what he thinks is the truth. The reality is, it's the truth of Morpheus. I don't know how many people didn't catch that in the movie. It's the truth of Morpheus. What the writers of the script leave out is the third option. And a lot of people get caught in this. A lot of people get caught in this. You see, Neo had the choice of not taking either pill. But that wouldn't make the movie, would it? Oftentimes, when we are presented with what would seem to be a choice between 2 things, we forget about the third option. Now, you might be wondering what this has to do with the way we're designed to live. Well, I'm glad you asked. You see, when believers talk to people who have either rejected the Creator or they haven't chosen how to believe, the people who are presenting this often present their traditions and their church doctrine as proof of faith. And it seems like the person is being offered 2 options. You either believe my way, or you're just a heathen. You're just nothing. You're just a non-believer, right? Sometimes the folks might present Jesus as the answer to all the problems in the world. Well, that leaves the person they're talking to saying, well, I only have 2 choices. I can either believe the way you want me to believe, or I must be this terrible person according to you, because I don't know how to believe. You see, they forget about their third option. Now let's turn the situation around a little bit. Maybe somebody's searching to find if this God they've heard about is real. Maybe they've realized he's real, and they're searching to find out how they fit into his plan. If they seek out someone of faith, they're going to be influenced by the tradition and doctrines of that person. And then we're back to square one, right? You have a choice between being a believer that believes the way I do, or being someone who doesn't believe. But there's that third option. Maybe you're already a person of faith, either Christian or Jewish. It doesn't matter for this conversation. Maybe you're listening to someone like me or someone on another podcast or video, maybe even a TV evangelist. You hear something that causes you to think, and you might consider you only have 2 or maybe 3 options to choose from, but you're always going to have that other option, what I call the third option, right? But that option is not presented to you, so you don't consider it. You don't think about it. Now, when I was in school, we had to read a book. It was called The Lady or the Tiger. It was written by Frank Stockton. It was about a man who was in love with a king's daughter. He's put on trial, right? Now, the king had come up with this concept of 2 doors. If the man opened the door that, whatever was behind the door that he wanted, he would obviously be innocent. But if he opened the other door, there was this hungry tiger and he would be devoured. And the king said, let the man choose his own fate. Well, it would seem that he only had 2 options because the man was put in a room and behind one door was the king's daughter, the woman he loved. Behind the other door was the hungry tiger. Now, it seems, the way it's presented, that he only had 2 choices, didn't it? Now, the outcome in the book is never revealed because there is a third option. Now everybody's listening going, what are you talking about, the third option? The third option is the man could simply wait. The king's ruling was that he had to choose a door. That, the man's fate, the guards couldn't interfere. They couldn't probe him. They couldn't entice him. He had to choose, but he could wait. And he could wait until either the king, who would fear for his daughter, something terrible was going to happen to her, and stop the process. Or if that didn't work, the tiger was already hungry, hadn't been fed in a couple of days. He could wait until the tiger was so weak that he wasn't able to devour the man. That's his third option. Now, I'm not saying that the third option is always going to be the best option, okay? That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is there's always another way. I've spoken to people who have been become disillusioned with any of the religious systems they might be part of in the world. They're searching for truth, and many of them think that they have very few limited options to choose from. If they're Christian, they think they need to choose a certain denomination. If they're Jewish, they think they need to continue with some of the traditions that they've been taught, some of the other things that they've been taught, depending on which sect of Judaism you practice. But there's a third option. And that third option is pretty much what we are attempting to promote here. The third option is to learn how to live the way we are designed by our Creator to live in His world. And it's something that's been avoided for a very long time. It's something that had been mistreated and misintroduced to people in a lot of ways. And Myra's going to read something now that shows how long ago this was becoming part of reality.
For the lips of a priest should keep knowledge, and men should seek instruction from his mouth. For he is the messenger of Jehovah's host. But as for you, you have turned aside from the way. You have caused many to stumble by the instruction. You have corrupted the covenant of Levi, says Jehovah of hosts. So I also have made you despised and low before all the people, just as you are not keeping my ways, but are showing partiality in the instructions. Malachi chapter 2, verses 7 through 9.
So way back in the time of Malachi. Even the priests were teaching people to follow the traditions of the priests, the doctrines of the priests, instead of following the way of our Creator, the way we are designed to live. The people didn't realize they had a third option. They thought by obeying the rules of the priests, they were being obedient to the Creator. But as we read in this passage, the priests had corrupted the sacred words of the Creator, and now he himself is chastising these priests. He's condemning them. The people didn't realize they had a third option. I'll be honest, I didn't realize I had a third option for a long time. And I would imagine many of the people listening probably didn't realize they had that option either. I was taught, if I just do everything that the preacher says and do all the churchy things, everything would be fine. And I bet you were too. Do everything the priest or the rabbi or the preacher or the pastor says, everything, as I like to say, Grandma said when you were sitting on her knee, everything, you know what I mean. Do all those things and you'll be fine. Well, something happened. And I realized I didn't need to swallow the red pill. I didn't need to swallow the blue pill. There was a third option. I could find out for myself, right? I could find out for myself if the traditions and the doctrines I'd been taught were in alignment with the Bible or if they conflicted with the sacred words of the Creator. And what I found was the reason for my first book, Tradition to Truth. I knew there were people asking a lot of questions, and a lot of the same questions I was asking, and we didn't realize there was a third option. We didn't need to choose between Christianity or Judaism or some other religious system. We have the option to reject the traditions and doctrines of man and live the way our Creator designed us to live. This passage in Malachi tells us when we represent our Creator, we need to present him as he wants to be represented, not how we think he should be represented, not what we think we should be doing, but what he says we should be doing. The reality is, and I need to be careful how I say this, maybe living the way he designed us to live should be our first option and not our third option. Hopefully I said that right. The problem is that a lot of us are going to stick to our traditions and their man-made doctrines, and they're going to just stay confused as to why everybody doesn't think the way they do. Mankind is arrogant and proud, and it prevents us from enjoying all of the blessings our Creator has to offer us. It really does. Our pride and our arrogance get in our own way. Not just living the way our Creator designed us to live, but in the way we get along with each other as well. I was just texting a friend this morning, and that's kind of the conclusion that he's come to as well. When we think about the third option and the choice between two things, there's only one place I can think of where there is no third option. And that place is when our Creator asks us to choose between his way and life or our way and death. You can't outweight the Creator. That's not an option. You can't, you know, you can't balance yourself in the middle. It doesn't work. There's no third option. You either choose him and do things his way, or you choose you and do things your way. You can't say, oh, yes, I love God, and then continue to live in sin and expect to get all of the good things. You can't say, oh, I really think God's great and we need to do things his way, and then continue to keep doing things the way you're doing them. The things that got you into trouble to begin with. It doesn't work that way. You see, the Almighty is the only one who has the ability to say there's no third option. He gives you the choice, and you can make the choice. You know, it's either his way or the highway, so to speak. But that highway leads to a place you don't want to go. There's no wiggle room. You can't sit in that gray area. You're either on one side of the line or the other. There's no third option when it comes to doing it his way. So you can do things his way and live, just like it says in, well, Genesis, Exodus, you name it. It's always there. It's always there. Right? Choose my way and live, or reject what he has to offer and die that final death, as it says in Revelation. And as I like to say, choose wisely. Choose wisely. You need to choose wisely. Oh, my. Most people that we talk to don't realize you don't need to, how do I want to say this carefully? You don't need to do things the way somebody else does it all the time. You simply have to do things the way your Creator desires you to do things all the time. I had somebody years ago say, well, we need rules for Shabbat. We need rules for the Sabbath. Like, you've got them. They're right there in the Bible. Just read it. No. I need to know exactly what I can do. I said, well, you're free to do all the good and compassionate things you need to do. There's a very short list of things you're not allowed to do when it comes through what the Almighty told Moses to write. You're free to do a lot of things. You're only restricted by a very few things. We were talking to some folks yesterday, and the lady had recently retired. She says, well, these things I do all the time. What do I do when it comes to the Sabbath? Well, you're free to do what you kind of need to do as long as it's not your regular work, right?
Right.
Now, does that mean that on the Sabbath, if your grandchildren or children or young children are there and you're looking for something to do, that you can't do something fun with them? Of course not. Of course you can enjoy your family time. That's what it's for. To enjoy the life you've been given, to take time from your regular duties and simply relax and enjoy. There's other aspects of this as well that I'm not going to get into because I don't want to be here all day. But hopefully you understand what I'm getting at. Choosing the way of the Almighty and living the way he designed you to live, we get a tremendous amount of freedom. We're only restricted by our own pride and arrogance, our own man-made, made-up rules and regulations that, quite honestly, aren't going to mean much. I'm chuckling a little bit because I'm watching Meyer play with the puppy, and I think somebody just got clocked in the head, or in the lip. Okay, but either way, hopefully you understand where I'm coming from with this. You have that third option. When someone approaches you and says, "Let me tell you about my religious system," tell them about the third option, to simply live the way that their Creator designed them to live, and ask them to let you live your life the way He designed you to live, because it's not always going to be the same. You don't have to think the same things I do. You don't have to do the same things I do. You don't have to do the same things your preacher does or your rabbi does. You have the third option to live the way your Creator designed you to live. And hopefully you'll choose to do that. So until Thursday, we wish you many, many blessings, everyone.
Yes, we do.